had Hoosier Hysteria happen over the weekend, Jim, which was just a nice pomp and circumstance event. But it was the introduction of Mike Woodson and Dane Fife, reintroduction, I guess I should say, of Mike Woodson as the head coach, Dane Fife on the staff as well, Isiah Thomas in the house. It was pretty cool seeing all that, and the fans enjoyed it and seemed to get what they wanted out of it. And I think this team is really together. Charlie, you always talk about that and how important it is, and you can look and you pay attention. And this team seems to be really, I don't see any parts, falling off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you hope there's no dissension, right? You hope that they're bonding together, and I think they're going to bond together more so than anything, based upon, to me, the departure of a Coach Miller, and you're going to have more camaraderie. Now you got the new guys coming in. You got a lot of new pieces, but you still got the same team, right? I mean, it is what it is.
Well, they've not played a game yet, so I mean, or like a game that counts, I guess. But I mean, some of that stuff will be not that it breaks a team or even rattles a team, but some of the individual attitudes will be sometimes based on what their role is under the new coach, and it may not, if it's far enough down the pecking order, it may not matter, stuff like that may not shake or even hinder a team. So, but each of these guys have to find their new way with the new coach. It's the way they have to learn each other. The coach has to learn players, right? Players have to learn coaches. So,
well, and my last point, it's going to be it's when it's all good now, but like you said, it's going to be when adversity strikes. Are you prepared, or are we going to see the same? Are you going to see them fight out of it? And I think that's the TBD at this point.
Mm-hmm. He had a couple of guys, or several, but at least two of them making their first appearance in front of Assembly Hall crowd. Tamar Bates, obviously a freshman, and Xavier Johnson. I don't know who you have first, John, but we got to speak to them after the game. So let's hear what they had to say.
I mean, he's a GOAT. So I mean, that's one person I look to play like. He did a lot here. He's a GOAT, so I can't say nothing about him.
Well, that was quick and short. I think that was Xavier Johnson talking about Isiah Thomas speaking, and what it meant to hear him talk. He spoke for about 10, 15 minutes, and I really believe the players listened to what he had to say. I mean, you have to. This is a guy who's been at the top, man. So you would think that they have to listen to him. But also Tamar Bates, who's a freshman. Wide-eyed, was not even born when Isiah was playing, but he knows who he is, and very well aware of the exploits he's accomplished. But let's hear what Tamar had to say after the game.
Just about what it takes to win, really. We have to be together, and everything that we do, out there on the floor, translate to off the floor. So how we treat each other, the time that we spending together, and just the sharing and caring of one another is what really win us some games.
What does that say to you, Charlie?
Well, you're saying all the right stuff, right? I mean, that's all I can tell you, Jim. He's saying all the right stuff. You just hope, as Jim was talking about, everybody still got to learn each other. Because again, for me, it's sharing and caring before the stuff hits the fan. Are you going to still play the same way, when things aren't going your way? That's just, again, another thing for me, just a TBD.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that Mike Woodson is doing all the right things to bring the team together, to build the team from the bottom up. He's doing it slowly. He's not making all these outlandish claims. He's not saying, hey, we're going to do this. He's saying this is just going to be, we're going to do this, which is we're going to play solid defense. But he's not making outlandish claims and this and that. He is just easygoing, says this is how it is. And he's a very open, blunt speaker, which is very much appreciated, I think, not only by the players, but the media. He treats everybody the same. That's also a crucial, important difference when you're dealing with people all the time.
Well, I think I said before, fellas, it's like I listened to him during his speech at Hoosier Hysteria, where he pretty much what I heard, he openly shared with the players, just play your game. Let me be the leader. Let me be the one who takes on the brunt of criticism. Just go play like you know, love, and respect. And I think you have a guy like that. To me, it's easy to play for because everything will be kept in house. Your turmoil will be kept in. I mean, that to me is going off of also his experience as a professional coach, because you're not going to just look to embarrass people. I mean, you're going to criticize probably in private, give what you got to give to the media, and get in front of it. As he said in his first press conference, I'm going to be available because I know you all need to hear from me. But I think also to keep the players in their perspective and looking to develop and play the way they're capable of playing.
Jim Reamer, a lot of recruits there this weekend as well, several there. What does that environment do for them? What did they see? I know they're not doing a lot of basketball stuff, but it's not about the basketball there. They learn that from them behind the scenes. But they see all the pomp and circumstance, the noise, the assembly hall, the banners flying, the stage, the history. That's got to have a pretty good selling point.
Well, for them, it's fun. I mean, it's getting to know the environment that they would have an opportunity to play in. I thought you were going to start this part of the show by asking me if I had gone, and I was going to say and just basically kind of look at Charlie and say I haven't been there. I've only been to one Hoosier Hysteria since Coach Knight left, because when he did it, it was a practice.
Yeah,
it wasn't a full blown practice, but I bet it was. What, 75% of a practice, maybe?
Well, back then it was the first day of practice.
Absolutely, yeah, it was.
And now it's changed so much that
they would go at midnight, and I mean it was determined night. But for the kids' perspective, it's fun, and it's when Assembly Hall is crowded, or I know it wasn't packed yesterday. It was because I didn't see a couple of pictures I saw unless they were taken early in the evening where nobody was up in the balconies, but it's still an electric environment, and it's still a very loud place, and it's almost more intimidating when you walk in and look at the seats unfilled and how high up that place goes as it is when it is filled. It's I mean, obviously it's not noisy, but at the same time you walk in there and you get a full view of Assembly Hall.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I didn't ever think about it that way, but I actually agree with that. It is more imposing. You're like,
it almost looks
all those seats, man.
And with some of the angle, it almost looks flat. Mm-hmm. When you set it almost looks like it's just it goes.
Well, that's why it's so noisy, much noisier. Yeah. It was created like a theater, and now you've got two theaters that face each other, and that noise rains down onto the court. I mean, Charlie's been in it. I haven't, but I remember talking to Garcia. Who was the kid from Duke that kept tripping people?
Grayson Allen.
Great. When Duke played here last, I remember talking to him afterwards, and he was asked about how loud was it out there. He said, "Well, when you're 5 feet away from somebody and you have to still use hand signals," he goes, "That's loud." And that's what he was talking about playing here. When North Carolina played here last, and Roy, their coach, he talked about. He's like, "Golly, I wish we had that environment, except for other than the Duke game." And so that shows you how this place can be, and it can be a very intimidating and tough place to play. It hasn't been for a couple of years, and it needs to get back to that. And I think that's coming.
Well, to go back to what Charlie was talking about, because it sort of coattails what you just said, Jim, was you look at, I think coming out of the games in August, the one thing we could tell were the players felt a little bit looser, felt like they had a little bit more freedom on the court without losing really any accountability, and maybe even a little bit more accountability, right? I mean, because I think Coach Miller probably set some things in stone and wasn't changing, and didn't matter how well you played or how well. Now, we don't know what Coach Woodson's going to be like when the season comes with things like rotations and all that, but there is definitely that change, and hopefully that translates to a guy like Trace Jackson Davis utilizing what he's improved on in games, and not just having that be part of practice when things aren't really on the line. Because look, I heard a lot last year about how improved Trace was overall, but he still just did everything he could to get to his left hand. And you think of how good he can be when he starts to be a little bit more unpredictable, because obviously he was really good last year. And if he starts breaking out things that he's really improved on in games, because he feels like he has the freedom to do it, and the space to do it, that's the key thing too, right? Having the space to do it. I mean, I'm looking forward to this year. It's been a little bit a while since I've looked forward to a season like this, but so I'm pretty optimistic on what we're going to see.